So
You both have
That's
big
crazy.
babies now.
I know.
you both have
Big
Big
babies.
now.
big. Yours is slightly
Bigger.
and more responsibility than mine. Mine also makes me money. I don't know what.
Maybe down the line.
down the line.
Long-term investment.
Long-term investment.
Versus SIP.
SIP. Correct.
It's actually a finance podcast. I don't know if anyone told you.
Any podcast is a finance podcast, I think. Okay, so the reason I wanted to talk to you guys is because between the two of you, I think we have like 10 years of training experience.
Woo.
You've been training, Krupa's been training since 2017. Divya's been training since 2021. You're a COVID baby.
COVID baby.
Yeah. So, if you guys I consume a lot of fitness content. My favorite thing about you guys is that you don't consume a lot of fitness content. Because
Consume content, just not.
Yeah.
What?
I said we consume content, but just
Yeah,
not
which is
fitness.
amazing.
Yeah.
Because I would hate to coach people whose entire identity is fitness. That would be so annoying. They would ask me like what my supplement stack is, and I would be like coffee and beer. So you guys would never judge me for something like that. And I think coaching people who have an identity outside of fitness allows me to have an identity outside of fitness as a coach also. And when
We're the reason you have a personality is
Yeah.
what I'm getting out of this.
I'm just gonna ignore that. Because it's that personality which makes you really want to be my friend. So when I look at a lot of the fitness content, especially geared towards women, right? So much of it is just white and privileged. It's like the very get 10 minutes of sun as soon as you wake up. I'm like, I want to know what Krupa's morning looks like. Can you imagine getting 10 minutes of sun?
No, not with a toddler because I don't even have 10 minutes to my own self. I can't even take a loo break on my own when I want to forget about a sun break. So yeah, no, I don't get 10 minutes to myself at any point during the day when my baby is awake. So
Yeah, do you have fear of missing out on mindfulness?
No. I did give it a good thought just now. I was like, no, I don't miss it at all. I mean, I don't think I would do it. I had a lot of free time before this baby was born. I don't think I was ever out sunning myself like a cat. First thing.
You're probably sunning yourself with your cats, right?
No, I'm probably waking up because one of my cats ran over me, used me as a thoroughfare bridge on their way to absolutely nothing, from one side of the bed to the other.
Just
But
across.
also, I think my version of mindfulness is waking up early so I can bed rot and doom scroll for like 15 minutes and gather the willpower to like go about the rest of my day.
Which is so cool and it's really worked for you, right?
It's
You've
really
been
worked
doing
for
it a
me
while.
because then it's like I schedule the time, right? I schedule the time to like consume a little bit of like absolute nonsense and like that fuels me for the rest of my day.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I want this conversation to be about. I think, especially if you look at a lot of the questions we got, so much of what people think they need to do in order to stay fit and healthy is so extra, is so unnecessary.
Rehaul your life, become a new person.
Make your bed as soon as you wake up. Like, no, I don't want to make my bed as soon as I wake up.
What is going to happen? You can just go back and lie in the same bed. Maybe once a week, like when you change the sheets.
Yeah.
That's a bit shocking.
Yeah, but
I
what?
do make my bed as soon as I wake up. But that's just because I need to tell myself I can't stay in bed any longer,
Yeah, what
Yeah, that's fine. See,
yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
folding your bedsheet and putting it back is fine. But just like this whole thing of
The fitted sheets.
Yeah, the
multiple layers.
The hotel bed
yeah.
with like
That
30,000
was my
pillows on
dream,
it.
remember? It hasn't worked. For good reason. It's very hard.
It's a good dream.
It's a good
It's
dream.
not a good reality.
Yeah, it's not. So let's make this a fitness podcast
Alright.
because that's what it is. What are your fitness experiences before training with me, and why and when did you guys decide you needed to start training? Who wants to go first?
Go. Youth first.
The youth.
But you have more experience training.
I think she wants to hear from you more.
No, so before this I did do some Ashtanga yoga, but
When was that?
2014, around 2013-14 type. there were days when I would take I used to have a scooter back then. There were days when I would just be standing, the yoga was in the top floor, I would be standing at the basement. I would willed myself to go from work to the place, and I would be at the ground floor. Instead of going up, I would just go home because I would just dread going up.
You would drive there and then you would drive
I
back.
I would just be in the ground floor, and I would just not go up. I would just be like, I can't bring myself to do it, and I have never been able to explain to myself what was going on through my head those years. I just did not want to do it. I was just like, oh, I can't do this again. I'll just go back home. So there will be many days where this would happen, and then eventually, obviously, this is how you give up, right? Eventually, I just gave up. And then my brother Balaji was coming here, and he figured that I could use with some time out away from home instead of rotting away on my couch, and he said, why don't you go there? And then I had company when it came to coming to strength system. So I had Swaroop, and so I think having that buddy,
Who's your husband, who's not a buddy.
yeah,
Who's also a buddy, but
yeah, but like
he lives
whatever,
with
having
you,
that
so-
person with whom I could do this really helped. And it was also something that where we both finish work and then we would come together and then we would be doing our own thing. But I think that really sort of helped. But this whole going alone to some place where I didn't know anybody, where it was all mindful and calm and I had to do my own thing, was not for me. That's when I realized. Because during COVID, I did do yoga on Zoom, on Skype, but it was with friends. A friend of ours is a yoga instructor, and he was doing it for people who had bad COVID. And even though it was on Zoom and on Skype, I would show up regularly because I had friends on that Zoom call. I was with Swaroop doing it. So that was my fitness experience. I did learn some swimming in the middle of all of this. I decided that was just another skill I wanted to learn. So that's it. I've never been to a proper gym before I came to Strength System.
Thank God.
Yeah. So my whole idea of what you're supposed to do in a gym is shaped by what Strength System and what now Ladies Club does. So I don't even know what they do in a regular gym. If you sent me to a regular gym, I just be like, what should I do now? I won't know.
I mean, you would know how to give yourself a workout, right? Like you would pick up some dumbbells.
Yeah, I would, if I saw some dumbbells, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, I can do some press or whatever. But I might just be like, yeah, okay. I mean, I can do some.
Yeah.
I can do whatever basic stuff I can do, but I'd just be like, what is this place?
Yeah,
I just feel out of place in a dude gym bro type place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, I have been to like gyms before, right? But I've never found anything that like worked for me, or where I really went and I said, oh, I'm having a good time here, or this doesn't feel like punishment. It was more that like I had friends who were trying something, or my mom was trying something, and we'd be like, do you want to come along? And I'd go along, and then I'd be like, little bit I hate it. And I think it just also two things, right? I think who, like in my mind at least, like who are the people who get to do this, who get to be athletic, or like who get to work out, or like be into fitness. Either you're already good at it, right, or like you're into sports, or like that's some core trait you have, or you're doing it as some part of like extreme transformation, and it's like part of like I have to suffer and I have to punish myself and I have to get to somewhere. And I was like, I don't want either of those things, so I never found like, why is this relevant to me then, right? Like, why do I need to do this? And I was like, I don't. And for me, maybe the impetus for like trying this out and even turning up was like, one, like I was having a bad time mentally. I was like, okay, maybe I should go cry somewhere else. That's not my room in the middle of COVID. But two, I think it was, you know, like moving from university, like moving into like the job space, into like a professional life. I realized more and more I was only doing things, like I was going into a niche, right? I was doing things that I had been trained to be good at, or like that I felt I was already good at. And I was not, like there was no room in my life anymore to try things and be bad at it, right? And in general, like I'm a competitive person. I like doing well. I like getting the gold star, you know, being told like, yeah, you tried, you did it, you're the best. And I was just like, I can't function only that way, right? Like I need to go try something new and like be bad at it.
Uncomfortable.
Be uncomfortable. And like even if I never get good at it, maybe that's okay, right? And like coming in with that attitude, and also finding you and finding the space that you created for us. But I think like for me, like what made me stick it out was coming in with that thing of like, I'm not here to be the best.
But why did you pick gym? Why didn't you pick like singing or an instrument? Are you good? Are you a good musician?
Not at all.
Okay, but just like, why would you pick? Why
I knew.
She baited you
I'm
with
just
that.
so like, why did you like? Because physical effort is clearly more uncomfortable than like, I don't know, playing the guitar.
I think also because like at one point I just started thinking of myself as like a brain on a meat stick, like I really was my brain, and I wasn't like connected or like obsessed with my body. So I was just like, I don't need to change that. But what if I just like paid a little bit more attention to like how it feels to live in a body, right? Like get rid of like that Cartesian
very
like
interesting.
mind-body divide.
Yeah.
Where it's like I really did think of myself as just like I was only interested in my brain for a very long time.
That's very true for me also. But for me, what changed was actually that I used to be an extremely like stick thin kid, and so people who know me from before literally can't recognize me sometimes, I also obviously had like some kind of like I was going through these body issues because I had never been like called fat to my face before. I'd never been told, oh, you need to go and lose weight, all of that before. And so for me, putting on some weight and all of that was also definitely playing in my mind. That was also why I did eventually, get off, because it played on me, obviously, being told that I don't look fit, or that I've let myself go, or if I'd go to a doctor's appointment, they'd be like, oh, what was your weight some time ago, what is your weight now, how come you put on so much weight? That did affect my own image of myself. I had some body image issues. I still do, because now postpartum it's even worse. I get it all the time. But yeah, I didn't want to not talk about that since you mentioned this brain and body thing. But I think it definitely, for women, I think it plays totally differently on, because like you, my self-worth and my whole identity comes from my brain space, and so I don't feel that connected to my body at all. But this is, I think, like a really good opportunity to feel connected to your body in a good way.
Do you guys feel connected to your bodies? Like, just curious. It's not something we've ever spoken about. Like, we don't really talk about mind, like it's not like a yoga class. We don't talk about that stuff in coaching.
Yeah, I think when I'm here like huffing and puffing and complaining, like it's one of the rare like moments in my week when my brain is off, right? Like I really am inhabiting my body entirely.
Exactly.
And I think that's why I have no filters, and that's why I complain so much, because I'm not in control of my brain as much anymore.
You complain in life, not just in the gym.
No. I think
Okay, complain a lot more in the gym.
I think I complain to people who know me well, but here the threshold is the floor. You can meet me like, and next second I'm complaining to you.
Exactly, I do the same thing.
Inciting a mutiny, inspiring everyone that's working.
Like anybody else is doing well, I'm like, take it easy today, girl.
I often tell Krupa, hey, look, this person isn't resting. Can you please have an effect?
Yeah, you get people to like time their breaks to me.
Yes,
When they're 2 and 2.
yeah. So now that we've done it for a bit, and now that we've established that it's been a new experience for you guys, it's not something that comes most naturally to you, but you've also stuck it out, right? Do you enjoy it more now? You can say no, you can say yes. And also, what do you wish you knew before you started that you know now that could make things easier for other people?
It depends on every day actually. There are days when I come here and I'm just like, I'm enjoying myself, but there are days when it just feels like, oh, I can't move. I just don't want to do it. But
you still show up. How come?
I think it's also that I think there's something about the culture of this space that allows you to come in and do that, because like I said, I used to physically be in that location and I used to not be able to step in. But now even when I don't want to come, I feel like I can just bring myself out and come. One is because obviously I get like an hour away to myself as a mother. I get this space now. But even before, I used to feel like I don't think I've ever come to the basement of strength or like the parking lot of strength system and driven away to like
Thank you.
not climbing
Maybe
up the
say
steps.
that on your next podcast.
At her next gym.
At my next gym, I'll be like, oh my god, I used to wait in the car. But no, I never did do that. But I think it has to do with the culture of the place, or I think there was I felt like this was a space where I could come and just it felt like an extension of my personality coming here. It didn't feel like I was superimposing some other idea of who I am. It's just like, oh, okay, this is just something I do now. I am doing this. It's not something that I have to do, or this is the kind of image I'm trying to build. I don't even post much about coming to gym on any
Maybe
social
little bit
media.
when you were pregnant. We'll
Yeah,
talk about that.
yeah. But yeah, at that time it felt like, oh wow, this is something new I'm doing, because it was completely new to me. But other than that, I think it was more the fact that I was pregnant than the fact that I was working out. So this just, I think that's what it is. It feels like having turned up. And having had those good days earlier, I think basically it's just like any other what they say about marriage, right? When the number of good days outweigh the number of bad days, you will eventually make it work. So you just have to find I think that's what it is. Basically, when the good experience outweighs the days when you're, because maybe 3-4 days a month I'm feeling like, oh God, I just don't want to do anything. But there is still the rest of the month then where I'm feeling like, oh wow, I can do this. I'm amazed that I was able to do this. And oh, this feels easy, this feels like, things like that. Yeah, the first week was horrible.
It is for all of us.
Yeah, the first week was horrible, but I think even then it was like, I started only when I was around 30, and I never gymmed before the age of 30. And so for me, I felt like, oh, at this age I'm able to do.
30 is not that old.
Yeah. I'm just saying, but that's.
Because 30 is a little bit old. But 30 is not that old.
It's not, but I'm saying that having your first experience at 30 and then sticking it out for 8 years is still sort of like in this culture.
You're not expected to start something at age 30, especially something like fitness, right?
Yeah, or like powerlifting.
Yeah. You both have done a powerlifting meet, which is insane to me. We'll talk about that also, obviously. It will remain insane for the rest of our lives. But I think what I'm taking away from what she's saying is that there weren't any expectations of her to do something that she would otherwise hesitate to do. She was comfortable, and she was allowed to do it at a pace that she was able to do, which is very similar to what you were talking about just before we hit record. Do you want to talk about that? Why have you been able to make it last and also almost enjoy it now, I think? Wow.
If you say so. I think it's just building a routine, right? So I'm not constantly trying to come here and be like, can I be the best version? I'm mostly like, can I be the worst version of myself today?
That's what I get to witness.
Right? I think with time and familiarity, you build capacity for something, or you build even just the knowledge that you can do something, it becomes easier, right? I think things that I know that I can do are easier, and then you add something horrible and new to the program, and I'm just like, I hate this, I'll never come back. I'm threatening you, looking at the door.
But you do it anyway.
I do it anyway because I think the goal really has been to get my foot in the door, right?
Yeah.
To turn up, and I think that's something I've managed to stick to. It's just there are bad days, there are good days, there are days when I'm just I come and I'll half-ass it and I'll, crawl out the
fine,
door.
right?
Yeah.
Here we don't, I think people expect every workout to be perfect, and here we don't have that expectation at all. We're just what is the best we can do given our resources today?
And that's what makes it enjoyable and a break from the rest of my life, instead of being how can I optimize this? How can I be the best? I think that pressure, it doesn't exist here. So I'm just I turn up, I'm just I'll make jokes, I'll crack, I'll watch some bad music videos on the TV, I'll gossip, I'll hide behind pillars so you can't make me do things before I want to do them.
But eventually we do
and
them.
eventually we do them, right? But the room to be a brat, I think is very helpful.
And also you don't ever feel, I feel I've never felt oh my God, I hate my body while I'm here, which is amazing, right? Because you're doing things with your body, you're in a space that is primed to make you feel whatever in popular culture,
Yeah.
like if you look a certain way, you're obviously expected to feel a certain way in a particular space. But I don't think I've ever felt like shit. I've ever felt bad about my body or ashamed of how I look or how I feel in it. Any of those negative feelings, I think not having any of that kind of an association with my own body, I think that is also important. Like,
Yeah, I think the focus has always been what can my body do and not what does my body look like when I'm trying to do this thing. You know, like not having every surface covered in some sort of like reflective, you know,
Yeah.
and like it changes. Like I think the cue of like, can I do this or am I squatting? Like, or even noticing like the changes in different movements has really been like, can I feel the difference, right? And not do I look different doing it or like.
Can you explain the feeling the difference a bit?
Like like the first time we did anything with the barbell, it was wobbly, like it felt new, it felt uncomfortable, and like there's a comfort you build also with time, right? Like I know, like even if I'm like a bit shaky or like things don't feel like I'm not getting it, I'm just like okay, I'll get it. Like
Yeah.
maybe next week, maybe the week after that, right? Eventually it will come around, and I think like it's also like building a sort of trust, like with you, but also with myself, right? It's like okay, I got this, I can figure it out.
yeah,
I'm so proud. Stop
Yeah.
it.
I still can't do lunges properly.
No.
But I don't
you,
hate myself.
You can do lunges.
She chooses not to.
You choose not to do lunges. But it's interesting that you guys bring up this whole how we don't talk about what the body looks like, and a lot of the questions we have is about goal setting. And when you go to any fitness space, the first goal people set is I want to lose this much weight, I want to look this way, and it's usually deadline bound. But I was thinking about specific goals I've set with especially both of you, and I realized we haven't set any goals at all. We haven't spoken about not just I want to lose this much weight goal, but we've also never spoken about I want to do a push-up, I want to deadlift this much, I want to squat this much. But you are now AMRAPing like 50 kilos, right? Which is pretty impressive for somebody who really doesn't want to squat. And you got your first push-up 2 weeks ago from not even trying to get a push-up, and you hit a 100 kilo deadlift, and I've always wanted a 100 kilo deadlift for you, more than you've ever wanted it. But we never specifically work towards something. What is when you? I'm sure it's a different experience than what your friends are doing, what you look at in popular culture. Talk a bit about goal setting, but also in relationship with motivation, because a lot of the times people are fueled by their goals to show up. What are you guys fueled by, and how has this not setting a goal played a role in?
You want to go first? I just want to go first. You
Go
look
for
like
it.
you're thinking.
I'm thinking, I'm pondering.
You guys can get out of your brains a bit.
So I still remember when I came to join Strength System. I don't remember who asked me though. They said don't set a. We don't want to know how many kgs you want to lose or whatever it is that you know any in terms of physical for your own self. But what is it that you would like to do? And I remember saying that I'd like to upturn my water can by myself, and I felt like. And I think that was itself sort of like a really good positive start to this, because it was about what I could do with my, and I was able to see it as time progressed, right? I mean, once I started doing deadlifts and stuff at home, I would tell you that, oh, today I pushed one wooden cabinet
Yeah.
from one room to the other with no
Like a
help.
sled push, I remember
Yeah,
that,
yeah. I was like this 100-year-old cupboard that I pushed from one room to the other by myself, and so then once I came here, I was able to do. I was able to see that I'm able to do things that I would otherwise have to ask other people to do, or I could just like be a little bit of a show off and be like, oh, I can just do this myself. Don't worry about it. Things like that. I think that can also be a good mood. I mean, it's not to say that I'm so laid back. That I mean, I also like those things. I do like the fact that I can just easily lift my baby and a bag and walk on the street or
on the treadmill. Oh,
Yeah.
that is fun.
That
But I'm
is
sure
fun.
you can do it.
A baby and a bag on the treadmill.
no,
No,
just the baby.
Okay.
But I think in terms of what motivates you to keep coming, what was the question?
Yeah.
That
Like
was
you
a-
guys clearly don't rely on motivation. Like if somebody's goal was to deadlift 100 kilos, for example,
Yeah, then
that's
they
what's
would-
motivating them to come. Here you guys have we've never spoken about, hey Divya, this is what you are working on. Or hey Krupa, as a gym, there are certain things we're working on. Like being less bratty, whining lesser,
I don't
enjoying
think
day
that's
to
a goal.
better.
Yeah.
Personally, that doesn't feel like a
That,
goal.
that works
I'm
against
doing.
that works against mine.
It goes against our core movement philosophy.
I love that. Except we're not allowed to use the word movement in this podcast. Like I hate that word.
But I think.
But it's also not like you guys haven't been making progress. Like you're back to your pre-childhood deadlift weights almost. You're doing push-ups. Your squat depth has never been better.
I think it's also that I think thinking of this space as like something you're collaboratively doing as opposed to setting a goal and then having somebody help you reach there. I think that's sort of, I don't think of this as like a space where you're going to get me somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Instead, I see this as a place where you and I meet thrice a week and we are trying to figure out creatively what we are going to do today. It feels like there is some amount of creativity involved from your end. Every week I come here and we are trying to do something is different, something is changing. I'm like, how is she tricking me today? She is trying to trick us into do something more.
It's just a 5-second pause.
So I mean, I feel like there is some buzz here. As opposed, it's not like I already know exactly what I'm in for when I come that day. And I think, despite the fact that there is that routine, there is the little bit of that variation, all of the fact that it's not some place where you go and you have to do something on your own, but instead there are a couple of other people who are also doing what you're doing, and then you get to interact with other people, and then I get to interact with you. I think that makes it feel like it's some sort of a community effort as opposed to it's just me
It's not
against.
isolating.
Yeah, it's just not me and my body, and I'm just not like Rocky trying to. It just feels like a collaborative space, and that's what it feels like
and
to
that
me.
collaboration is something I rely on a lot, right? I think one thing that's also worked for me in coaching people like you guys who are not expecting, like, hey, we are point A, take me to point B, is some amount of collaboration is what does that point B look like for you? And I feel like you guys define it for yourselves very intuitively, really well. Even though we're not saying those words, but there is like a constant communication that's happening. I'm like, hey Krupa, you can lift your arm up here, which I think you and I both know we're working on,
Yeah,
but it's not like a checklist.
yeah. We don't care if I don't lift it for.
No, I care.
I mean, in the sense that I mean, it's not.
Yeah. It's not like we wouldn't be like that. Like if you don't do like 2 days of rehab, I wouldn't be like, Krupa, why didn't you do it?
Yeah.
Right? Or like, hey, why didn't you show up? There's no punishment. There's just, okay, that's information. What do we do with this information now? I feel like I rely on that a lot from all of you guys.
So I was thinking about it, and I know like numbers have never been our primary goal, right? And especially numbers of like how much can you whittle yourself away, or like you know what can you like shed, or like those numbers definitely not. But like there is a little like buzz or a little thrill to like being like, okay, like I lifted 100, like you know, like I did it. Like the numbers are fun, but they've never been the point.
Because we talk about those numbers are exciting, but there's so little of it, right? Like you deadlifted 100 once, but it's such a big deal. It's so cool, but that's not why you're coming back.
It's not why I'm coming back, and it's like it's a fun thing to say. It's never been like the main thing. But I think one, like getting used to pain and discomfort. I think like that's weirdly enough something that kept me coming back, because I think like again, right, like I thought of myself as a brain. I'm like writing away at my desk. I'm on my computer most of my life. And so like suddenly I'm getting like banged up, I'm getting bruised, I'm getting like, you know, like aches and pains, and I'm just like, oh my god, why am I doing this to myself? And then it's kind of cool to be like, yeah, but like it's not the end of the world. Like a little bit of discomfort, little bit of pain, soreness. I don't know, like you get used to the feeling very quickly, and then kind of saying, okay, I can do more, or I'm capable of more than I thought I was. Like I love that feeling. And I think also just in terms of like then when I'm out in the world or I'm traveling and I'm doing things, kind of having the confidence of like I can handle this on my own. I don't need somebody else, right? Like I can lift my 30-kilo suitcase and run up and down the steps of the Paris metro and like
When you're lost.
when I'm lost.
So that's one barrier removed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Absolutely.
suitcase never has to be the impediment, right? I'm just like, I'm worried about other things that I've done wrong.
Going to the gym is not what my life mistakes were.
Yeah, I think like it's just like really opened up like how much I know I can do, which is a feeling I like, and it's opened up like just my like it's lessened my fear of being in the world, right? If I'm like I can figure it out, okay, like how hard can it be? And like that's not an attitude I think I necessarily had before, and it's not one I necessarily have in the gym, but like sometimes when I need it, it kicks in.
But I do think like the only kind of person who survives this kind of a coaching model is somebody who's willing to not be spoon fed. Like I don't think any of you guys are looking to be spoon fed at all. I'm not. I do baby, especially Divya a lot. You also a little bit. But the babying is more because it's nice for me to like. I like doing it for you guys. But there is a certain sense of autonomy that I've seen you guys build over time. And we never talk about how like a lot of the fitness businesses will talk about how like you're like especially like around Women's Day and shit like if you can do this in the gym, you can do this in the world. We never, that's not a narrative we consciously or actively have here, but it's so cool to see that spillover is still there.
Definitely. Even, I mean, I've always had that attitude, but I mean, I was 30 when I came here, right? So, but I've always had that attitude to life, but now I feel like even having an attitude where like, I can handle whatever, and then life throws you a couple of curveballs, and then you're like, oh my god, I don't think I'm all that, like, I don't think I'm that much of what I thought I was, but then having a routine like this and doing something like this, it can help you slowly rebuild that muscle. Like you can lose it, that feeling, and then you can also that different kind of okay, fine, I can show up. And this little play school where I was trying to take Nina to, I mean, just to sort of explore. And the lady at the admission said something very, very beautiful that I keep thinking about all the time. She says, we don't insist on anything except a rhythm in the child's life, because everything in the universe has a rhythm. However bad the day, the fact that the sun rises in, that for sure, can actually make it feel like, oh, okay, everything is all right with the world. And so if the child has a routine, and the child knows that, oh, this is the time at which I'm given food, this is the time at which I'm expected to take a nap, the child will feel like whatever else is going wrong with their life, the child will feel like, oh, everything is going to be okay. There's something is wrong, but other things are going normal. So I felt like, I mean, my child doesn't.
For a play school advert.
Right? I was like, oh, this is not for my child, this is for me. This is life advice.
Thank you for sharing.
I would like to be here when the sun rises.
And so that has actually sort of made me, because I don't like routine and I don't like rhythm, and I just like to sit in front of a computer and rot away. That's how I get my books done. And that's just like, but now I'm thinking more about having some sort of rhythm, because I feel like it might even make me a calmer person. Like it might actually help me.
So you guys are saying you see yourselves doing this forever, because most people just want to know how are you doing this without setting goals. So you guys see yourselves doing this for the foreseeable future?
I don't even know if you told me to set a goal, I wouldn't even know what goals. So like, it was a joke when I said, oh, I'm going to get abs. It was more like, oh my god, I'm going to wear a crop. What I mean is I am going to get it. What I mean is, I'd like to get a photo shoot done in a crop top or something like that. Okay, it was some kind of a funny joke between my husband's Swaroop's cousin and me, but then she's also working, I guess, now on this, and we both decided, let's try and see if we can get those abs. And but apart from like in this jokey way, I don't think I would know how to set a goal.
And it's not like if that doesn't happen or it doesn't happen the way we want it, it's not like you're going to stop training.
Yeah, it's not like my self-worth will be depleted by not achieving the goal.
And it's not like the path is also always progress, right? Like there's really an ebb and flow to this. So
this last week I've been eating like an animal. not like
instead of animal.
It has been bad.
Okay. Um, so, like some specific questions now, right? Like people have many questions about injuries and listening to your body, and of course we use the RP scale, and that sort of takes care of a lot of the things. But how do you know, like whether it's your period, whether you had a shitty day, whether you really don't want to come? I always also say, some days it's okay to not show up. How do you guys decide that stuff for yourself? When to show up, when to push, when not to push? Um, you've been dealing with the nagging shoulder for a while. Your first session was an amazing
When
first
you
session.
tried to murder me for turning up.
That's your accusation. That accusation continues till today. So.
Yes.
So, how do you guys decide? Like, what is the thought process? What is the decision-making process like? And how has that changed over time?
So the first time I turned up and then I fell off the box.
She fell off the box her first session.
And then I hurt my foot. And then I squatted with that hurt foot and immediately hurt my back. And then I was like, wow, I hate this. Clearly this was a mistake. And then I went back home. And then Prashanti messaged me every day for a month saying, are you feeling better? Will you come back? Come back. And I was...
I didn't text her every day. Like once a week.
Yeah, maybe once a week. And a part of me was like, everyone who started with me, now they've done it for a month, so they're going to be so much better than me, and then I'm going to be the loser, and I hate that. Because I was just like, everyone must have like really...
Because you're competitive and you're Divya.
Yeah, I was like, I won't be the first pen student, like that doesn't sit right. And then another part of me was like,
let's be clear, you're last bench student.
Thank you. But I worked hard on that.
But
you know that unlearning.
Annoying last bench student, but who still does like top 5 rank. She's that student.
Thank you. I worked really hard on that. I'm the class clown for the first time in my life. It's an achievement.
Wow. Congratulations. Go on.
And then a part of me was like, the most humiliating thing that could have happened. And I'm like, I'm okay. Like, it didn't affect the rest of my life at all. I'm like, these are people I'm never going to see outside of this context. That was a lie. I ended up meeting so many of these people over the years and like befriending them and all of that. But I was like, is that the worst? Was that the worst of it? I was like, then it's not a big deal. And that's what got me to like come back. And I've completely forgotten what the question was.
How do you guys decide when to push, when not to push, when to show up, when to take a rest day? Because considering you train forever, it's not like progressive overload is a cool concept and all, but it's not like you're going to come here to the gym and every day add like 5 kilos to the bar.
Yeah.
You'll be squatting 500 kilos now by that logic.
Yeah. So there are days when I'm on the way here, right? I'm sitting in traffic and I'm just like, I'm so tired. Why am I coming? And then I'll tell my mom, I'm going to take it easy today. And then I come in and the atmosphere is so charged that I forgot that I said that. And she'll be like, weren't you going to take it easy? And I was like, I'm fine. And then there are days when I'm actually kind of hyped and I come and I start doing it and I'm like, it's beyond me today, right? Like I notice like once I start and then I'll come and tell you, I don't wanna, don't make me, can I skip something? But I think most days, like the turning up is not a question, right? If I come to a point when I'm like, I don't even want to be here, that's when I'm like, maybe I just need a day off. Maybe I'll reschedule today. But I think because the pressure is not to come here and then like lift more and do more constantly, I'm just like, I'll turn up, right? And then once I've turned up, I'm like, you did the thing, you did the hard thing, I'll give myself my gold star, and then I'm happy.
Yeah. And with you, some days you're very clear, right? Like I really appreciate that. You'll do like half the workout and you'll be like, I'm done, and you'll go home.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate because you're not letting me influence how you feel in your body.
I think having the kid has also sort of really made me know like my limits now. Like I know because I'm alert and I'm sort of doing the caregiving work for half the day. Even when I'm not directly doing the caregiving, I'm indirectly doing the caregiving, and so I know when a limit has been crossed, when I'm just like, especially because when you have somebody in your face all the time, you need 5 minutes to get away from everything, and you're like, oh, okay. And so I think that also transfers to other areas in your life, I know exactly when I'm just like, I can't do any more. If I do any more, then I won't be able to go back home and function in that other role that I need to function in. So I think that is one. And I think the second thing is just that once I'm here, like we said, there is no, I don't really think that, I mean, I don't mean this as advice for other people, but I'm not taking what's on the board as like some sort of a dictation to me.
I think that's great advice. I think it should be a new motto. The board is a lie.
The board has the program. That's
The
what
board
they
is a
mean.
suggestion.
The board is a suggestion.
The board and you are in a dance, eternal dance.
If you're fighting the board, you win.
But I mean, some days I feel like, oh, this seems easy, but some days I'm just like, there's 3 more exercise. I feel like my body is not listening to me anymore. But I also know, having done this for so long, I also know that it can feel like a lot, but when you do it, you'll be like, oh, okay, this I can do. And then, like you said, there are days where you'll feel like, oh, I have the energy today, I will be able to do all of this, and then you do some 4 deadlifts and you're like, okay, no more for the day, bye. But I think it is also just having the experience and the confidence of showing up and I think the message actually flows from you, because you've said you just show up and then you do whatever you feel like doing. It's, once you show up and you do whatever, and then the fact that we can say, hey, today I don't feel like turning up, when we absolutely know that even if we show up here and you give us like that thing of, okay, do whatever you can, I know that I won't be able to perform even that much on that day, when I'm just like, okay, today I'm not, like I did with this Friday session. I didn't show up on Friday because I decided from the next week I would come on all 3 days and stuff. So I think it's also a question of having that space and knowing. I think this involves a little bit of, as much as it is a community effort, it also involves a little bit of autonomy and taking your body for like a little bit like of a, what shall I say, like, I don't mean taking it for granted, but like just listening to it when it says, hey,
Stop.
lay off.
Just to, it made me think of 2 more things, right? So one is, it's kind of like one of the only hard boundaries in my life. Like, when it comes to work, when it comes to my friends inviting me out, Tuesdays and Thursdays nobody talks to me. Because they're just like, it's okay, she's going to the gym, don't bother her.
Absolutely. It is a hard boundary, even for at home especially, because I know Swaroop has to come back home at 6 and he has to be at home so that I can leave the house and be here, because this is just like, anything else I may skip out on, but I feel like this is sort
guys,
of,
Because it's one of the only things where it's like, whatever's happening, I'm like thinking about work, I'm like, oh, I just want to sit and finish this. 5 o'clock, that laptop shuts and I'm like, okay, I have to get changed and I have to get here. And it's really like one of the only times in my life when I exercise
Put my
that
foot down,
hard line and I'm just like, this can wait, other things can wait, and I turn
The more I talk to you guys, I'm like, wow, these guys actually really like it.
shit,
Yeah, I know.
eat our words. And the other thing is, I think having the space to whine really makes a difference. Like I don't have to come here and be on, like, I'm not saying like I'm trying to be a disruption or like trying to throw other people off, but knowing that I don't have to come here and like, just be like on really good behavior and like, I'm just like, it's okay. I'm like, I can come here and be like, please.
Yeah, that makes you feel like you're playing, right? In the evenings you would come home from school and then you would change into your whatever home clothes and then you would go to,
That's a really good comparison.
Yeah.
and then you just meet like with a bunch of friends and then
It makes it like much more convincing when I say this is a hobby.
It is, like it is. That's, you guys,
Yeah,
we're
because
building
it's
skills.
not like we come here because we have to, right? Like, I mean, we do make the time and like we do carve that chunk out, but also like come here and being like, yeah, I hate it, it sucks,
Okay,
change
but
it.
like the message for people who don't work with us here is that, like, a lot of people think you have to train hard, you have to finish the program, you have to finish the workout, there has to be a certain level of extremeness to this for us to see results. And here for us, results is a very, it's an outcome, like on the side. It's not the main focus. So I think the message I would like for most people to take away is that hey, we can chill about this and still make a lot of progress,
Yeah.
and we get to define what that
And heart
progress
feels
is.
different on different days. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
what felt easy one day can feel impossible the next day. And I think you've given us that much space to be like, yeah, today I can't. Like
Yeah.
today, no.
And it's the only way we can do this for a long time is to um, account for that
Yeah.
ebb and flow, like you put it
Yeah.
really well. And injuries, like randomly your knee has started paining, and we had that ankle thing that we don't know where it came from, and your shoulder, she's been dealing with the shoulder, and she went through pregnancy, and nothing really changed. Like we didn't really like. For me, the fact that you guys trusted not just me, but also your bodies to sort of say, hey, let's try this out. We didn't change anything. You still did your lunges. You still did we just changed the movement a bit. We reduced the load. But talk about that so other people also know that injuries are not a bad thing, and it's part of the process.
Who's gonna go first?
Both of you have been in.
Yeah.
And with pregnancy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You squatted, you deadlifted, you benched, you did lat pull downs. We did some cardio. But we didn't really change anything except how much load you lifted or how much range we are moving. A lot of people think prenatal fitness is special, right? A lot of people think postnatal fitness is special. It's not. It's just a good program.
Yeah.
And you trusted me with that and it worked. Okay,
Yeah.
we can start with her because she knows exactly what to say about her pregnancy. Talk about that.
I mean, if I know exactly what I want to say is, I mean, in terms of my pregnancy, yeah, I was a bit like, you're all the time you're being scared, right? Don't lift this, don't do that, it's already and even before that, even when I was trying to get pregnant, I would tell you, oh my God, am I allowed to do this? Do I want to do this? Because there's that fear constantly being drilled into you that if you do all of this, maybe that won't happen, because there is a reason there is this constant belief that you are the reason something is not happening and you are the reason something could go wrong. And I think at some point I read something or I felt something that was like, oh, I have nothing to do with this. Things are happening on their own, and my job here is to show up in my best form possible. Because I had nothing to do with when I get my period. I don't have anything to do with when I get pregnant. I just don't have anything. Like, it's all happening in a different plane.
So many variables are involved.
Yeah. So once I kind of gave myself that confidence that, okay, this is not me. What is happening to my body, that's just not only who I am. I'm also the other things, and I just have to show up in my best possible way for whatever the day presents. And so once in my head I had decided, I was just like, okay, I'm going to just trust Prashanti, because I think you'd already coached somebody else who was, and so I told myself, okay, I trust you and I'm going to surrender. I think some form of surrender is required, especially when you're pregnant, or when you're going through this kind of pain.
But you would ask questions and we would still talk about it.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like I'd be like,
No,
Hitler, Murray, listen to what I say.
exactly. I should be like, I'm sure that I can do this hurts, or this is what I'm doing. But again, even with that, it's just showing up more and more gave me more and more confidence. I felt like, oh, I can do all of this. And with the pain, I think just this, I had come to this place where I was like, I'm not going to allow this pain to hold me back anymore. I was just like, I had
let it
enough.
define me.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not going to let this be my only identity. And sometimes that can hold you back, just to sort of allowing the pain to define every aspect of your life. And for a while when the pain is new, it feels like that. And after that, you have a long-term chronic injury or whatever, and then you're just like, okay, now I just have to, this is just part of my personality now. Get physiotherapy.
Yeah. It only took us 2 years to do it, but
but what I mean is, you can still, it still didn't.
we did everything.
Yeah, it still didn't stop us from doing whatever it is that you want to do. We were just working around it. And
Yeah.
I think it's also just in just like in life, it's also just accepting that okay, this is also just part of something that's happening to me, and not feeling like somehow you caused this.
Or you're not victim
Yeah.
on the other side also.
Yeah, exactly. And that I remember once, I think postpartum, I did something and then it was paining, or it was during pregnancy, something it was paining. Then I asked him, why is it paining? He said, we don't know, sometimes it just pains, just leave it, forget about it. And then I was like, oh, okay, fine.
We say that a lot here. I don't know why. I don't have X-ray vision, or even if I did, I'd probably be inactive.
At that point, I was just like, oh yeah, why does it matter? I mean, I just won't do it again in that same way. I'll try it a different way that it doesn't pain anymore, and just move on. I mean, you don't have to
Thank you for saying
investigate every pain.
that. Oh my God, yes. You have thank you, Krupa.
Yeah.
I think also just reassurance from you, and like it's one of the first times that I'd heard it, which is like if something hurts or you're in pain, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that brings everything to a stop, right? Like okay, you might have to tweak something, you might have to change something, or like do a little bit less for a while, but you don't have to be like I'm in pain, I have to lie down, like nobody touch me, until I'm healed again.
Exactly. The pain defines me now. It's my whole personality.
And just knowing like you can get up and you can still do things when you're in pain, and that's like it's not a permanent state, right? Like just reassurance on that front changed a lot of things. Because then I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm in pain, yeah, it sucks a little bit.
But was there some resistance to that initially? Like, were you like, what is she talking about? Like, what if I never heal? Was that fear there?
I think I was very malleable. You said it and I believed you.
Yeah, I think I was very influenced by your voice.
I think also like I came that first session and I hurt my back, and I was like YouTubing how to get out of bed without using my back, right? I was like I can't move. Nothing makes sense. I'm like learning like a whole new like way of like living.
Changing your YouTube algorithm basically.
For like 3 days.
Yeah.
But and at that point you're like, yeah, you'll be fine. And I was just like, I'm gonna believe her because that will just make my life better right now. Instead of like being like this is permanent, oh my god, will I ever be
and
okay?
most times things get better on its own, right?
Yeah.
We've
And
never-
I think getting up and even just walking helps. And suddenly you're like, wait, the pain that was like my entire body was focused on that one point of pain, it suddenly doesn't feel like such a big deal.
It's a really good point.
And it's just like it's really reduced my fear around pain, which is a good thing. I feel like I'm less scared going to the dentist, I'm less scared getting injections. Like I'm just like, yeah, okay, it's fine.
No, absolutely. Because postpartum, I was told to move through the pain, and I think this absolutely helped because there was there's obviously this stitch mark, and then on top of it they put on a plaster that just sort of binds you, and you're supposed to move through the pain to get it to loosen, and then eventually they'll take it off. And I think most people just get scared by that pain only. People just don't move through that pain because they're like, oh, it hurts, I can't do this. Yeah, it hurts, I can't do this. But then my doctor told me, the more you stretch it out, the lesser the pain will be the next time you make the same movement. And I was like, oh, I am familiar with this. I know how to deal with this. And so I would just, the thing is, you don't have that fear anymore. Oh, if I go through this pain, then next time, that next time I already know this because the first time I deadlift it was very hard. The next set I do, I'm like, okay, I'm able to do it. I thought that was it, and so I've been through that, and so I'm able to apply that same skill to the fact that I just have to move through this pain and then it will get better. I can trust when somebody says that, and I think
trust yourself also, the ability to handle that.
Exactly, and which is why I was able to get up and be walking like in 18 hours after surgery. Like I was like, okay, I just know that it'll hurt a bit, but I can walk. That's all.
I mean, I'm not gonna sprint, but I can walk.
Yeah, exactly. So my baby's in ICU. I don't need a wheelchair. I'll just get up and walk. Just leave me alone. So that's what I did.
It's very cool. Just last few questions. What have you guys, obviously like we don't really talk about calories and diet, and I don't hand out a diet chart, and we don't talk about like, we don't do ice baths, and we don't like recovery and stuff.
Why are we not doing ice baths?
In the summer, I suggest we put a bathtub.
Okay, other than for luxury, I really like the idea of like a luxurious pool. But like for recovery, we don't foam roll, we don't warm up, we don't stretch. We are very meat and potatoes here, right? There's no fluff. But there are also certain things I know you guys have done outside of the gym to just sort of add a little bit to help this process a bit. So you can benefit from this discomfort a bit. What are some lifestyle, I hate that word, but what are some outside of the gym changes you guys have made, like in terms of sleep, nutrition, stress management? You can say, I haven't done anything, you don't need to do anything, I'm still like deadlifting 100 kilos. Like protein, I know you guys are trying to eat protein. But I also remember I also know that I have to remind most of you to eat food. But I don't understand how the fitness industry is telling everybody else to eat lesser. So it's very confusing messaging. Thoughts?
So none of it happened overnight, right? I think, like I said, when I got my foot in the door, if you had told me once you leave here, you have to go and change all of these things about your life.
30 minutes.
I would have said bye and, ended with that trial class.
Block me everywhere.
I think, doing it for a while and then saying, okay, I am feeling a bit sore on these days. Why is that happening? Or like, okay, I want to do a bit more here. How can I help myself? Right? It really did happen gradually. Because I think if I'd done it all in one fell swoop, I would have done it for 1 month and then never done it again.
Yeah.
What are the changes? I think one, seeing rest is productive. Just not feeling guilty about rest, feeling like rest is a good thing. Really like prioritizing getting my 7.5 hours every night. Sorry, Krupa.
She doesn't have a choice. You sleep enough, right?
Yeah, now I do.
And like feeling zero guilt over it. I'm just like, I need to sleep. Right? I'm just like,
sleep is the most basic human need, right?
Yeah.
because like otherwise it's like, okay, why can't you function on 6 hours? Why can't you sleep a little less? How do you do more with the time that you have? And I'm just like, I'm okay doing how much I'm doing. And I think with nutrition, it's really been about like, okay, what can I add that's going to be helpful, instead of constantly saying what can I cut, or this is bad, or like avoid this. Right? Because like I come here and you're like, what chocolate do you want to eat? And you're like trying us with candy and you're just like, it'll help you deadlift.
It does.
Yeah, and
But
I think
moderation is.
yeah, moderation, right? I think like not looking at food always is like something you have to cut out or eat less of, or like not looking at it like do less of this, do less of this, instead being like, okay, this is gonna help. How can I try to add a bit more of this? I think just approaching it with like more good things instead of less bad things has been a good thing for
Or
me.
also like not really defining things as good or bad.
Yeah.
Bad things also. I mean, I don't think you meant it.
Yeah. Just more of like what helps,
What helps.
right?
Yeah, for me the biggest change has been my protein intake, obviously, and that's like she said, it just comes from receiving that message over and over again over a period of time, and not just basically like, oh, if you don't do this you won't have that, or it's just basically like, okay, I'm already doing this, how do I just get better at it? Oh, this is how I get better
Like a
at by
cascading
eating.
effect of
Yeah, by
sorts.
eating more protein. And I'm just generally, I think I'm now looking at, okay, what meal can I add a protein in? If even when I have others who are vegetarians around me, and I'm just trying to see, okay, what can I do with this meal now? If I
And
can't, I just
sometimes
give up.
it's- Yeah, sometimes it's okay.
I'm just
to
like, yeah,
not-
fine. This week is shit week. Next week we'll do better.
Or this day, next day.
yeah.
But I think it also took me quite a while to come to a point where I'm like comfortable thinking about things like protein and not feeling pretentious or like an imposter. I mean, like, you don't even do this enough to be like thinking about it in these terms. It did take me some time, and I'm fine with that. Right?
Yeah, but I
feel
think
like
that's the problem. Like, it's been sold to us as something that you deserve only if you do all of that,
yeah.
right? But the fact that you basically need protein in your life is just sort of a message that's missing.
like like, have you seen the packaging of these like protein dabbas? Like it's so like large and black and like electricity bolts over it. Like,
It's very hardcore.
It's very gym bro, and I'm just like, I felt like, what is this doing on my kitchen counter? Like it looks really out of place amongst the bananas.
And your pretty strawberries.
Yeah, and my cute little ceramic dishes, and I'm just like, it's not the vibe.
It's not.
So it took me a while to be like, this is actually a part of my life.
Yeah.
So it's okay for me to like incorporate these things.
Yeah. Like at home, everybody knows that those origami shakes are mine and nobody will touch them. They're like, oh, that's your snack. I won't touch that snack. Like even Swaroop will be like, oh no, you have that. I'll have something else, right? So it's come to that place now.
Super. So you don't have to do everything all at once, and doing everything all at once is going to set you up for failure.
Yeah.
And even if it takes you like 4 years, like everything, like you guys were trained 2 days a week. Most people think they need to train like 5 days a week to see results, progress, whatever. You've added your third day now in the last 1 year after training for so many years. So I think taking baby steps, listening to your body, understanding that fitness is one small part of your life that allows you to live life better. All of these things will come with time, and giving that time is what is required. Last 2 questions. If you guys take a break and come back, you know your numbers are not the same level, you're not feeling as good as you did. How do you guys deal with that?
Yeah, I can't lie that sometimes it's disappointing. Sometimes like, oh man, I just worked up to that because I used to have quite a bit of those in the middle, and I've taken so many breaks and then come back. But I always do come back, and I always feel like, damn, I was building up so much, and then now I have to redo all of that. But I know that when I come back, it just takes a couple of weeks, and then I'll be back. So that doesn't really stop me anymore. There's that minor disappointment. It's like, oh man, I wish I just.
We're adults. We can deal with minor disappointment.
If I come back from a break where I've been doing something fun, I don't care about those numbers. I'm like, it was worth it. Whatever I lost, I don't care. But if I come back from like having been sick, like, then it's like, why did this happen to me?
Yeah, damn,
why did this happen to me?
Why did I get the plague, you know? But like you said, in a few weeks, you're usually back to like where you were. And knowing that will eventually come back, and you don't have to like actively be like, I lost out and I have
and
to.
you don't need to do anything extra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, just like a bit like a trust, right? Like, I've done the work, and like, eventually like it's gonna.
Yeah, and then it's also like it's also surprisingly swift if you are a long-term person doing this, and
yes,
then, like it's also surprisingly fast that you start to feel like, oh, okay, in a week or two you like you've got your rhythm back, and now sometimes I feel my calf and I'll be like, oh, wow.
The other day she was like, why are my calves sore? I'm like, we did calf races. Look at the board once in a while. No, that was yesterday. You did calf races. Okay, last question, which seems to be the most important question. What does fitness mean to you? I feel like we started the podcast with this, but you guys never really defined it.
So I think when I started off, or like before I started off, I always thought fitness was a threshold, right? Like you have to like be able to do a certain number of things, and then you're fit, and like you're part of fitness. You know, you can be like you are fit. You have to pass this like exam, and then you're like, I can do fitness. And then if you don't do those things, you can't do fitness. But I think now I think of it much more as like routine and repetition and just turning up. And I'm happy to like stick to that way of thinking of it.
What about the outcomes though? Like routine and repetition is what you do, but what is there like a definition for outcomes? Like
not really. It's not.
That's pretty awesome.
It's not the focus for me. I mean, like sometimes, like you said, we celebrate the milestones. Like there are things that happen, and we're like, wait, wow, that was so good.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you like a little begrudging high five. But like most of the time, for me, it's the practice. It's the turning up. It's it's doing the thing.
For me, actually, I think because I take so many breaks, I know exactly when I'm not fit. I don't know when I'm fit. But I love that. But when I'm not feeling like myself, I know it because I'm feeling a little bit tired maybe, or I'm feeling just like a little shitty in my head. Like it affects my mental health, and I can tell that I'm not all there, or this is why I'm feeling so bad, or I'm not able to recover from the PMS that's just unending for a week or whatever. So I know from practice now when I'm not fit, and I joked to Swaroop in the first couple of months when I had the baby, like, oh my god, there were some months when I was not working out, but I was also like beginning to regain or gain some weight, and I was just like, oh my god, I don't want to get a heart attack. I better go back to, like, I was really.
That's how your brain went.
Yeah, because I was just like, anything I did, I was feeling like a strain in my body, and I felt like I need
a baby.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But I was just like, but I could still feel it in my body. I was just like, I could feel like, like I need to get stronger. It was not about getting fit in that sense. But I just felt like, I mean, I don't mean like, oh my God, I'm going to get a heart attack and die sort of thing. But I just feel like I can feel my heart in my mouth just from walking 10 steps. And I should not be feeling like that. So I know now when I'm not feeling strong, and I know that, okay, when I start feeling like that, I know that, okay, I need to start moving and
It's a good answer.
yeah, I think I would equate at this point feeling strong in my body to feeling fit.
Feeling capable, the ability to do stuff.
Just to
and a certain ease also, I think. Right?
exactly to be able, that in your body, right? When
Yeah.
you're able to just like, oh, this feels like me,
Yeah.
right? That sense
I
of
relate to that.
the optimum version of me or whatever to function through my day.
Spoke about optimizing and we came back to optimizing.
Yeah.
Always be optimal.
Now we are those bros.
I think you guys are actually gym bros. You guys are like,
That's our secret.
We're secretly gym bros, but we're just whiny girls.
Is there anything else you guys would like to add? I guess it's so many cool things. Like any advice for people who want to do this long term? Like, hey, I think you should know this. Andamari something?
I think the relationships are very important. I feel like if you don't have a good relationship with your coach, or with like at least have like some people that you like seeing, then it makes it that much harder. It's just that I come here and there's nobody that I don't want to look at when I come here. Right? I'm just like, oh God, I don't want to.
Maybe you're doing it wrong.
Wow. You have to come back here tomorrow.
But yeah, I think that's what helps. When I come here, I'm automatically at ease, and I know that I can joke with whoever I want to, and I'll get a laugh from them. I don't have to be, like you said, at my best behavior and just be like, oh, I have to be proper.
Okay, but like less ladies club specific things, and more
okay.
like stuff that will apply to people who don't train here also. It's a really good answer.
I think if I had advice, it would be more to someone who's reluctant to start than someone who's like already doing it and then wondering how do they keep doing it, because the answer to that is keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I think to anyone who's like scared of doing this, or like feels like, like they have to get somewhere before they can like start doing it, I'm just like, just start, right? Like
Because you don't have to, right?
You don't have to. Like I think that like I wish I'd started earlier.
You wish you'd met me earlier.
Oh my God. You're so obsessed with me.
Right, that's what it is.
I think just start and do what you can, and don't feel like if you start, then you're like changing your entire life and like you're overhauling everything in one go. But like you can turn up twice a week and you can whine, and I feel that's good enough, and like that's what I've been following. So
and I think if you just like, you'll be surprised by what you can do, and I think that's the experience for me actually has been, because I've been told this is all my body can do. Popular culture everywhere, all reinforcements you get everywhere is if you look a certain way, this is all you can do. But you would actually coming here is like debunking exactly that. Right?
Okay, sorry, we forgot to talk about this. Both of you did your powerlifting meets. Speaking of things you didn't think you could do, you did one in 2019 and you did one in 2021 too.
yeah.
Power star prepare.
I mean, the first day I deadlifted, I was deadlifting 35 kgs, and I was just like, wow, I didn't even know. Nobody had even told me that this was an option for me, that I could do something like this with my body. And I think that really sort of, whatever, all those happy hormones, I think they're still lasting even to this day. Like that release from that, oh my God, I'm doing this, I'm working with this, and my body is capable of doing this, and the encouragement that you get, and all of that. That is again coming back to what I said about you can be surprised by your body. It's just that like we've been conditioned to think this is all we can do, or this is how much we can do. Get like a little pink dumbbell and just like wear those aerobic costumes and just like
Neon types.
neon types, and have like whatever have already a desirable whatever standard of body to be able to count as being fit. I think once you find the right space for yourself or whatever it is, even if it's inside the water, swimming or whatever, wherever it is, I feel like you should just showing up is and being there in your body and feeling what it can do. That is the happy release you need. So do it.
Do it.
Yeah, I remember like the other cool thing like I felt when I came to that meet, very much against my will, entirely because Prashanti guilt tripped me. Was that I think until then I'd still been in the little bubble of like that small class of women who all worked out together. And coming there and seeing so many people who are all into it, like so many different kinds of people, I was like, wow, like that's so cool, right?
Yeah.
And like all of them were lifting more than me and like had been doing it for longer than me and doing it better than me. No, and it was cool to see. I was just like, wow, I love that, right? And I was like, if I feel this good, like little less than a year in, then like 3 years in, 5 years in, I'm going to feel awesome, right?
Yeah. And you're not fighting against someone. You're not. You're
Yeah.
just constantly trying to see what you can do in your own skin, and so there is no. That is what it is. I mean, even with the meat, you're only trying to see what you can do. But I still remember that I did a 95, and I'm like, oh my god.
That's a pretty freaking cool number.
Yeah.
For somebody who'd only been training for like a short amount of time and very unseriously.
Yeah.
I mean, very consistently. I mean that in the best possible
Yeah, I
way.
know.
Like, you're not like chugging protein, like putting moose spray running. You know, like that's not what you were like the typical powerlifter, and you went from 35 to like 95 kilos.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's
Jinx.
what it was. It was just like, for me, it was just like, oh, just seeing what I could do with myself, which was like, as a person who's always sitting in front of a computer, who's always thinking about words and things like this is like a completely exploring a totally new side of who I am, and so that's what I think.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for
Yay! Thank you,
thank you for
Prashanti.
training.
You're welcome.